Okay, welcome back to ToMakeItGo. Last time we finished getting the pieces if they believe I will need to render out some JSON. Now, I'm gonna make that go away. This is where we ended off last time. So now let's see if we can't get to the place where I actually serve back an HTTP response. For that, we'll go to this guy. This is my HTTP servlet that I have set up and wired in with my WebXML. Everything is there as you would expect from HTTP servlet. At the moment, I just have a response. I'm printing out the path info. Nothing exciting here. So let's, step one, build a test gateway. Oh, endpoint, I believe is what I called them. Endpoint. Test endpoint. If I remember correctly, I will need a endpoint. We're going to live at /test. Let's go to look at my tests to see how close I am to making this up. Okay. That's a reasonable place to live. Now let's go get a method. Get method. I'm going to assume I want to handle get. Didn't get. Okay. Now I will need marshals. Let's build a simple handler. This is going to be exactly the same as the one that I wrote for my tests for now. I'm actually just going to return an annotated response, yeah, annotated response from that. Public static class test response. It's going to be 200. It's just going to say OK. Let's just print out an integer. Uh, 3. That's a good integer. We'll call it 3. Now, all we're going to do in this guy is return that. There we go. Now, I believe we're going to do something crazy. Public hash map of string to endpoint entity. Get endpoints. Return. And then we're going to fill these with some values. So let's go look at endpoint entity. It's been a while since I've been in here. I need to construct one of these. Create endpoint from a class. Okay. Test endpoint from a class. From test endpoint.class. We will introduce, well, sure, endpoint. Get description, get endpoint class. Does he have something that gets me the information on the top of the endpoint? Let's go check our tests, see how far I got with that in my wild, fevered description of building things. I get the description, I get is the method handled, I can find method by type. Dispatch. This isn't the one I'm going to be calling eventually. No. I don't. So let's go to our test. Get test get. These would probably be handled URLs. Well, they're not full URLs, they're just the little slash paths. Okay. We want an endpoint that we can actually get stuff off of. You dispatched. You have one event. Okay. I believe I defined this so that you could have an array in there. Yes, I do. So we will allow you to have multiple ones of those. Handles event. Ah! So I already have something that does something similar. I just wanted to list all of the events it handles. Okay. Seems reasonable. Endpoint dot get handled events. I'm going to make that return a list of strings. Events. I may at this point I'd be splitting my terminology. I'm not sure. Excuse me, I have to sneeze. That was me sneezing, if you could hear it. Okay. I'll create that method now. Null for now. That should never be null, so let's assert that events is race.asList /event. We're going to let that yell at us for now, and I'll add a couple more. But that should explode because it's null. Well, sorry. That should explode because it's not even close to the right type. Don't put method breakpoints in there, they're slow. That's what IntelliJ was telling me. Okay, there we go. Put that up here. And we are just going to actually grab this. Okay. And it's going to be similar to that code, except instead of adding it, results. Method handles method. Get handled that. No, that is not close to what I want at all. Where is it? It's this one. Handles events. Yeah, I don't know what that was. And in this case, we're just going to shove them into a list and return it. Ta-da! Test pass. Okay, so now we can come over here and use that. Right now you may be thinking, wait, stop, you're not testing this. But at the moment, I'm okay with that. Okay. Then we are going to iterate over that. Event. We are going to put string endpoint dot put event endpoint. And we're going to do one better and to lowercase that. Now, we're going to come up here and be all like, hey, request, where do you live? Event. Then we're going to be all like, get endpoints. Which at some point I should consider caching. But there's one of them, it's not, this is going to be heavy, this will be heavy every time. I should probably do it once at the startup of my application. Only then. Right now it's going to happen every time you get an event, or an event comes in. So right now this is like way heavier than it should be. So now we're going to say something along the lines of if endpoints dot contains key event, endpoints dot get event dot is method handled. And I believe this is case insensitive. Good. It's case insensitive. If it is handled, and we'll pull it off the request dot get method. We'll put that in. Pull this up. Endpoint dot handle. Dispatch. And at that point, I return. Because I don't want to do this stuff. There we go. Well. Now, let's perform a clean build. I'm going to build it. Executing my build. 10 seconds, a little bit slow, but I blame starting up Tomcat, or in this case it's Jetty. Jetty is up. We'll pull over to make it go. We should be at API/test. And it explodes. Does not have Marshall's annotation present. Okay. That's telling me I set up the thing I wrote wrong. Look at that, it doesn't. At Marshall's. I needed input. Input is simple handler. Output is JSON renderer.class. There we go. You'll stop Jetty. Stop everything. Perform another clean build. And I have not been timing this episode, so it may be of a variable length. I apologize for that. Let's put my timer on. I'm gonna stop that. Back. Timers. We're gonna say I've talked for 10 minutes. I don't know if that's true at this point. but I'm going to go with it. Okay, there we go. Turn it on. Which means I should probably make a task that builds my app, or a test that checks and makes sure all of my gateways that are registered with my front controller are actually available. Okay, this is where we were last time. There we go. Type 3. Now, we should probably have set the content type as well, because I bet that did not come back with the correct content type. Accept. Response headers. Well, it didn't come back with anything. There you go. I'll show you what I'm looking at. So what I sent back was just it's 31 characters, and the server's Jetty. Preview. There you go. Test 3. And just like that, everything has more or less come together as I expected. As we expected to. And any other event like test will come back with test, because that's what is in my front controller right now. Eventually, that'll be like a, hey, this page doesn't exist page. Yeah, that might pose a problem. We'll have to fix that at some point. There we go. That was nice and neat. So now, it'd be really helpful if we could take a string input and render out a string input. And we need to start building the bit that marshals data and passes it in. So, to do that, well, let's start and see where I need to go. Do I have an annotation for that? I'm going to call it execute. Yes, we will have the executing handler? Executor handler? Executing handler? Executing handler. Prepare to be executed. Okay. Executing handler. Implement handler. Okay. We're going to have a interface request. It's going to have a single method on it. It's going to hand back an object. It is going to say execute. Well, request is going to be null. Interface. Executable. The executable will have an execute that takes a request. And to throw a little generic madness into this, I will make it t extends request, and it'll take a t. And because you should never have single letter generics, because that tells nothing or tells nobody anything of what I want to put in here, it is going to be a request type. Request type execute. So now I need to define an at. At interface execute. Execute. And at the moment I'm beginning to think I might be a Dalek. It is going to have a class of question mark extends executable as its value. And now the fun begins. Okay. At this point, we need a test, because I don't know that anyone out there has any idea what I'm trying to do. So, what this guy is expecting test event endpoint. This is my test endpoint that I'm going to have for this. It's going to go by the public void handle. What he is going to look at, he's going to have an execute. We're going to need an execution class to call. Executor implements executable. There we go. Let's add the static imports for these so it looks a bit nicer. Okay, so he needs that to go. And I believe that should be everything. So now, test method. Given method without execute row and exception. We're going to make that an illegal argument exception. And it's expected. Executing handler. Handler. Goes new. So we want to say handle. We have the test endpoint. We will give it invalid method. Valid method, no execute. It doesn't have any parameters, and then we're going to keep it null. So that should proof it. I'm going to stop my my Jetty servlet because it's not performing any benefit for me at the moment. Okay. So now we have to ask a question. If sanitation present, if it's not present, yeah, we'll just throw it in the arguments exception. And you have to call new in my language. There we go. Tests pass. Let's make my own exception for that. Public static class missing or unable to execute method without execute annotation. And we're going to extend it to the legal argument exception. Now we're going to go to our test. We're going to expect that because I like that better. Test will fail. Test should pass. Now then, we should check to see that. Okay, so I know that the executable in there will be valid. Well, it'll be a valid executable. I don't know that I'll be able to instantiate it, so I should check to make sure that it doesn't have any, or has a no-args constructor. Or I could just instantiate it and live with the explosion that comes. Let's do that. So at this point, so I'm going to execute the executor, and I'm going to call this with the request. At the moment, I just want to make sure that I've executed it. Okay. Let's... at this point, I have a bit of a... No, I don't. You return things. Result. And we're going to make this new... the string hello. Our executed. Okay. At this point, I would expect executed to be returned from this thing. That's the next thing I can test. So I'll instantiate the object to test it. So I'll instantiate the class on the annotation and call execute, and I'm going to pass it null for now. Okay. Seems reasonable enough. So my test should say assert that result is import my thing. Executed. That's probably going to say it's null. Okay, I can get this to pass by, you know, putting, like, executed there, but I'm not going to. Method, I get annotation. That value. And we're going to fix that right now. At retention. Runtime. Target method. There we go. It was yellow, yeah. That's why it was highlighted in yellow. Okay. Value.new instance. Executable to execute? No. Did it work? At this point, I should return. So let's make it so that this will throw an exception. I can do that. Also, you might be saying, hey, you need a separate test, because that's not how that works. Given an executable method, execute. Okay. This method is cleverly called handle. We don't want any of this. Okay, so that's working. Public static class, valid executor. Executable. We're going to leave that without the generic on there, so it's just the raw one. And we're going to give it a constructor. It's going to take a int value. So now, I would expect it. Actually, I don't know if I want to throw an exception. I want to throw an exception. Yes, I want to throw an exception. It's going to be another illegal argument exception. Okay. Invalid. Executor. No default constructor. At some point, I'm probably going to come back and change that because I don't necessarily want to be able to just instantiate these guys with nothing. I may decide I have to give them some more information so that they can do additional things. And it provides a nice injection point. But at the same time, I don't know if I want to do that either. So for now, you have to have a default constructor. And we'll put that guy on this method. Without given method with execute, but executor without default constructor. And that's that mess of a name. And I'm going to make this back to an illegal argument exception. Run all of them. And that should take care of that path. Bam! What did it do? Oh, illegal argument. Yeah, what did it tell us? Okay, it's an unexpected exception. Java class instantiation to make it go, so I can't make your invalid executor. That's Java's way of saying you didn't have that. Okay. It's not the best exception handling error message I could give a user. But it will work for now. Okay. So now, we've reached the point where you're probably going to want to check that this is not null. So we're going to change this to hand back exactly what we handed it. In that case, we're going to have to basically say not null. Okay, so I'm thinking at this point that I now have to do a bit of reading before I go any further because I'm off the top of my head. So what I'm going to do is proxy that information off of... So I'm going to grab the parameter map from the HTTP request, proxy, or create a proxy of that object, or a proxy out of that map, and dispatch off of the method signatures called off from my proxy to pull information out of the map. Which I'm going to have to go look up the Java docs for proxies, Java proxies, to do, because I don't remember that what all that entails. So it's going to be a bit of reading for me. So on our next episode, I will have, by the time of the next episode, I will have done a little bit of homework to make this work. I'm not going to show me reading Java docs because I don't think that that's particularly impressive to watch or enlightening, because me reading Java docs out loud to you, unless you love the sound of my voice, would be the most dull thing I can think of. Because, yes. Proxy provides static methods for creating dynamic proxy classes and interface. It is also the superclass of all dynamic proxy classes created by those methods. To create a proxy for some instance foo, we do a whole bunch of nonsense, which is exactly what I'm going to do. And, yep, that's how that's going to work. and I'm going to have an invocation handler, and I'm going to have a new object, and it's going to be awesome. Yep, I have a lot of reading to do this bit. Although the fact that I can proxy interfaces is really cool. So I will hopefully have the skeletons of this up for my next episode so I can continue. I am out of time. Well, out of my 20 minutes that I set last. My timer. If I'm short, I apologize. For my 32 minutes. Or 30 minutes, I apologize. Otherwise, there you go. This is almost where I need it to be able to handle arbitrary input requests coming in and send out JSON down. Which is what I wanted where I wanted to get to. Now, I just have to do, the parse handling of the input data. This is also going to involve handling marshalling types. So, getting an integer from a string, getting a date from a string, all of that fun good stuff. Because at this point, when I'm in my class, my executor, I want this request to have all of the basic Java types. And I'm also going to have to decide how I want to alert users when a type isn't valid. Thank you for watching, and I am going to sign off now. Farewell. As I 5 date.